topic 4. As always, brought to you by the Kinda Funny forums. Go to kindafunny.com/Gamescast topic. Leave your topic, and we'll get to it on the show. But Greg,
Yeah.
you have some special news for me.
Yes. Kevin, please move. We're about to have a moment. Yeah, you know what to do, Kevin. You fucking idiot.
I'll get up for this one.
Thank you, Colin Moriarty.
Since, I was replaced anyway. You'll understand what it means in a minute.
Please, please leave, Colin. Please leave.
I like that Vince is a little confused right now, probably, but it's a special
Ladies and
moment
gentlemen,
he's
you're about to
a part
catch a
of.
moment on camera, a rare personal moment. I don't share a lot of my personal life. We're not many of my moments are captured on camera in my real life. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, I'm going to meet the one and only Nicole Tan. Nicole Tan, please come here. How are you? Please come sit here.
Hello.
I'm Greg.
Nicole, obviously.
Pleasure to meet you.
I'm Tim. Nice to meet you.
I'm Vince.
Nice
to meet you.
So
Now,
Greg, take
if
it
you
away.
don't know Nicole Tan, ladies and gentlemen, you would know her from when I won the Game Award back in December. I thanked her in my speech and talked about developers and developing and stuff. And then, as I said in the speech, I had never met you before.
Yeah.
So now here we are. You're right here. You got to scoot
Make
up.
sure you talk
Okay.
really
Kevin,
close to the
Kevin will
mic.
yell at me if I don't make you yell into the microphone. It's true. You do that sometimes. So thank you for finally coming to meet me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for allowing us to use your name on t-shirts. The one I am currently wearing. That was a T-Shirt Tuesday one. Has this been weird for you?
Yes, quite weird.
Way to make it weird, Greg.
I mean, we got to address the elephant in the room.
This is definitely, I guess I've never been much in the public kind of light before,
Yes.
so...
Welcome to it.
They're bright, aren't they?
So this has been a very surreal experience.
Yeah.
Starting from the moment that I heard you mention my name.
So were you watching the Game Awards?
I was actually at work when it happened.
Okay.
So I personally wasn't watching it live, but my coworkers were.
Okay.
So as I was working, I just hear half the office erupt into laughter.
Yeah.
And they just call me over and they're like, do you know Greg Miller? I'm like, not personally, no.
Did you know of me beforehand?
I heard your name
Yeah, yeah.
before like IGN and
Sure.
whatnot, but like I didn't actually follow kind of.
No,
any
I
part of
understood.
it
I was just
or-
wondering how much of like, who is this jelly bean on the TV talking about me right now? No, that makes sense.
There was a little bit of that.
Good. Okay, good. No, I want. That's why the way it should be. So did they? So I mean, what was your reaction? Did you? I mean, when you find out that this is happening?
First reaction was there's got to be someone else named Nicole Tan that you're referring to. But then as you elaborated more, I was like, wow, he is referring to me.
That's
and
me.
it was just a shock.
Well, thank you for allowing me to do that, even though I didn't ask your permission or give you any chance to. Thanks for being cool about it, I guess. Because that was my concern, is that if I wanted it to be someone I didn't know, I wanted it to be just somebody out of the credits of a game I had just beaten. And so when I scrolled through and found you, I was like, okay, great. And then there was like, as I'm getting ready to say it, I'm like, I wonder if she's going to be mad that I'm blowing up her spot like this. Or my main concern was like, what if you had left Crystal Dynamics at that point? Because I didn't want it to be like, she just did Tomb Raider. And then like you turned on your LinkedIn, you left a while ago, and this was that and the other thing.
Yeah. Well, I am curious, why my name of that list?
I mean, it was one of those. It was random to an extent, right?
Yeah.
It was that I looked up and I knew that I wanted to find somebody off the list that wasn't like ahead. I didn't want it to be somebody I would have interviewed or PR person before, and I didn't want it to be somebody who's like in charge of their department. I wanted it to be somebody that when we do these studio tours, we go, get to see a game early. We walk through it and you get the tour, and it's always like, and this is the art pod, and this is this pod, and there's all these people working that you never get a chance to say thank you to. So I wanted it to be somebody that I'd never said thank you to before, or that because like, full disclosure, this is a funny story. I only tell people off camera. This is exclusive. Is that originally I'd beaten Tomb Raider, and I had just platinumed Batman Arkham Knight. And so I went through Arkham Knight and picked somebody. And I was like, oh, great. Did the same thing, kind of let the credits roll, and then I looked up and picked somebody.
Yeah.
And I went and checked her Twitter, and she had just won a BAFTA. And I was like, I can't say that development is a thankless job. And literally the random name I picked just won a BAFTA. So then I was like, oh, I just beat Rise of Tomb Raider. So I went through and watched the credits there and found you and did it that way. And I wanted it to be a game that meant something to me, a game that I thought was important for the year, and that, that was awesome. And especially if I lucked out that when I was the, art that is what I looked up at, seeing as how like I think that game is so beautiful and so breathtaking. So thank you for being a part of my moment and letting me thank you. Has it been weird since? Was it just that one day and it was kind of normal then?
my coworkers definitely teased me for a while after about it.
Sorry.
Don't worry, we tease him about being the trending gamer, so he gets his due.
No,
for
I mean
sure.
I celebrate it.
Yeah.
Colin's still upset that Colin's still upset that he just wasn't thanked prominently enough.
Oh.
He's still very.
It's no big deal. You know.
It's fine.
It's no big
You
deal.
got sick. I did all your work. It's fine. It's no big deal.
You made it on the shirt though, Colin. It's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for everything you've done for me. Thanks for everything you've done for games. Thanks for making games.
Yeah, thank you for calling us out. I mean, it was definitely appreciated from game developers. And,
Good. And how old are you two?
27.
God, when did you graduate high school? What year? How old were you?
When I was 9.
When you were 9, you graduated high school.
Yes.
How old were you when you graduated college?
The first time, 15.
The first time.
What's that even mean?
What is?
And that's the thing. I pick somebody at random, and then they're like, oh, "Okay, cool." And here's her PAX panel about how she's brilliant and all these things. I'm like, awesome. Are all video game developers like you?
The game developers are definitely they're a very special group. They have all kinds of like quirks and specializations, and like everyone's unique.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Give
you.
me
for
another
having me.
handshake. Thank you for everything, and thanks again for the T-shirt.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
very
so
much for
much.
joining us.
Thank you.
Is Colin coming back?
You kicking
I
me
mean,
off?
Colin
or-
literally
Well,
left the
let's
room
see,
right
we
as
have-
that happened.
We got 8 minutes left. So
I
let's.
only got 8 minutes to say it. Well,
If there's another thing I know about you, Vince,
Oh God,
it's that you like JRPGs.
I do.
So, what's your favorite JRPG? Anthony Anguililo wants to know.
Oh God.
Which ones do you like? Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot of exactly what is your favorite, but
Persona
what comes
4.
to mind when I
Persona
say
4
what are your
Golden.
favorite JRPGs?
See, Persona 4 Golden is this tough thing
okay.
because it almost works against it that it's so relatively young. Because there's this encrusted, entrenched golden age
Say it.
that people don't want to walk away from, and even me, like as soon as someone asks me this question, my lips just want to be like Chrono Trigger, or Final Fantasy VI,
Correct.
But
Well, I'd say Wild Arms over Final Fantasy 6, but I agree with you there.
wow, Wild Arms.
Yeah, Wild Arms. I
like
with the exception of Mega Man 3, maybe my favorite game of all time.
I never knew that about you. And I love Wild Arms. I think the reason that Wild Arms isn't in the necessarily the upper pantheon for me is because it's like it's excessively brown. Like it's during that time of like just super brown art design.
It's also like Wild West and desert.
Yeah, I
and-
guess that was kind of part of the intention too.
Not that it's all desert, but
Yeah.
no. I mean, I agree with you though. It's one of those things. It's hard to let go
Yeah,
of
it
those
is.
games because I played Persona 4 Golden for maybe 10 hours or something like that, and it's a special game. I actually got distracted and I stopped playing it. It's definitely a special, unique, resonant game that had me intrigued. But I could tell you just from playing 10 hours of that game, no matter how good it is, that it doesn't have the same it just doesn't have the same impact of playing those games at that time because of what they meant, and like the evolution of say Dragon Quest IV in 1991 or 1992 to Final Fantasy 3/6 in 1994 is a fucking massive leap. Where like Persona 4 could have existed at that time.
Yeah, and also the key thing, similarly to what you're saying there too, is that, and this is a problem that MMOs have had as well, and more recently, I think open world games of all kinds are running into it. Is that the inherent advantage that RPGs had over other genres at the time is that they were several orders of magnitude larger, deeper, and more complex than everything else you could play on a console. There was nothing else you could play on a console that had a world that big. Pardon me. That had that many. Yeah, it's getting me emotional. No, that had a world that big, that had that many stats, skills, mechanics to track and think about. Nothing was as sophisticated as like when Phantasy Star 2 came out on the Genesis. There was like no video game on, because I didn't play PC games at the time, so like, there was no video game available that was even close to the size, depth, or breadth of Phantasy Star 2. Now, in the day and age of like say Persona 4, Golden, or when Persona 5 comes out, this year, Persona 5, I'm sure I will love with my whole heart, but it's missed the opportunity that we are past the point in time in video game development where a JRPG what comes with that territory is that it's just way bigger, more complex, and richer than any other kind of game out there. Like now we have action games that exist in an open world. We have shooters that exist in an open world. We have other RPGs that exist in a totally open world. There's no way in which a traditional by the numbers JRPG can dwarf other genres in terms of size and sophistication anymore. Not because they've gotten less sophisticated, but because all the other genres have become more so. And so that inherent edge doesn't exist. So when you so I guess what I'm saying is I agree with you. Like Persona 4 is a masterful JRPG, easily in my opinion in the top 10 of all time. But it's very hard for me to allow it to eclipse games like Phantasy Star 2 or Final Fantasy 4 or Final Fantasy 6 or Chrono Trigger, because those games in very material ways stood head and shoulders technically and artistically above the rank and file of their time. And when Persona 5 comes out this year, and even when Persona 4 came out in the time when it originally came out, they weren't. They couldn't have been, because the rest of the world had caught up so much.
Yeah, and I also think that RPGs just bled into everything. And
Yeah.
I think that was the major thing. Like when you really think about the DNA, the genetics of games, the way they are today, like the most important thing that happened to Madden, for instance, was like D&D.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, like
Absolutely.
the most important thing that happened to a lot of these games is in fact like these pencil and paper role-playing games from the 70s.
Yeah. Now it's like if your game doesn't have...
I have to go win another award. South by Southwest.
Good, good
Love you.
Do I have to...
Greg,
Thank you all for
am I
GDC.
out of here?
Good luck, Greg.
No, we're going to wrap
We
up.
wish
in a
you the
few minutes,
best.
so
Okay,
you're
cool.
good.
Yeah, final question for you.
Shoot.
Stephen Osland wants to know, what game are you most excited for this year?
That hasn't already come out? Mm-hmm. Of what's left?
There's a lot left. You're saying it like we're in...
Oh, no,
was
no,
Street
no.
Fighter it for you?
Oh no! That's what I'm saying. Is it's not that there's nothing big coming out. It's that
that
this
makes
year,
sense, okay.
This year, similar to last year, actually, like was front loaded with games that I was looking forward to. So like last year, it was Evolve and Helldivers that I was like frothing at the mouth to have in my life. You know what I mean? Like this year, it was Street Fighter 5, XCOM, and Darkest Dungeon were probably like the games
ones.
that I was like, I can't wait. I would say of what's left, No Man's Sky is very high on my list of most anticipated games. Persona 5 is very high on my list of most anticipated games. And I think that's... I was going to say Scalebound, but it moved to 2017, so not anymore. Yeah, I would say No Man's Sky and Persona 5 are probably like the two
Big ones.
big ones for me.
And this isn't a question, but Yusuf Magwid says, tell Vince that he has a beautiful command of the written word. And I
Thank
agree.
you so much.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but I'll reiterate. Like, Vince...
Can I hide?
No, you can't. Vince, like, I think I'm a good writer, but Vince is way better than I am. And the like, it's not to diminish anyone else that writes there when I was there, because there was a lot of great writers on that set. But you you are like so, like you are at the top of that pyramid to me. So many props for that. You do have an amazing command of the written word.
Thank you so much.
You were very well spoken. I told you to give you even more compliments. I told you this when it happened, but go look at IGN's Game of the Year video when you gave Last of Us, the Game of the Year video. I remember I shot you doing your whole spiel, and like the way that you spoke about that game was just, it was an art to itself. And I was so impressed by just the emotion that you had talking about it, and it was awesome. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much,
Thank
Vince,
you so
for
much.
joining us
It's
on
always
the show.
so fun to come here and
You're
hang out
always
with you
welcome
guys.
back anytime. Thank all of you for
Yes.
watching live and not live. Till next time, I love you.